Yeah, thank you very much for joining today's session. So we're going to be holding weekly sessions on different aspects of fundraising and how to, again, maximize fundraising income in the context support engagement and support participation using different tools. And so today we're talking about raffles versus auctions, when to effectively use them for maximum income generation. So, just before we get into the details, and one of the reasons why we're talking about this is related to how charities and non-profits essentially engage with fundraising. And we see this as a maturity model as well. So, this graph was presented at the recent Third Sector Fundraising Forum 2023. And what it shows is the 10 most active charities on the People's Fundraising platform over the year 2020, 2021, and 2022. Interestingly, over the height of COVID, and the charities saw an increase in their fundraising income over that time. And the rationale for that was when charities start out fundraising, they generally undertake what's called traditional fundraising, doing things like donations in blue, fundraisers in orange, and holding some events. So that's traditional fundraising. And then as charities realise that their supporter base wants to become more engaged, they therefore engage and offer their supporters more fundraising experiences. So in the darker blue, we've got raffles, we've got auctions and memberships. And therefore, you're on this fundraising journey in this maturity model journey already if you're looking at things like raffles and auctions. And the culmination of your maturity will be when you start engaging your supporter base more. And so instead of from a fundraising team perspective, you are setting up the raffle or auction or asking people to make donations. Now you're empowering your supporter base to do those things in their own right as well. And if you align with this maturity model, you will see this uplift in your overall fundraising income generation. Okay, so today we're focused on raffles versus auctions. So let's start with essentially defining what a raffle is, and then we'll talk about what an auction is. So, and by the way, this comes also from the perspective of on our generic platform, People's Fundraising. We support about 3,500 charities on there. And we have a lot of similar questions all the time related to what's the difference between auctions, what's the difference between raffles, and how to effectively set them up. So this talk today, it should be quite a short talk, really is communicating what we generally, or the conversations we generally have with a lot of charities and non-profits. Okay. So what is a raffle? A raffle is a gambling competition, and that's really important to know from the offset, in which people purchase numbered tickets for a set amount of time, and which give the opportunity to win a prize or prizes. So at the end of the raffle, winners are drawn and allocated prizes at random. And in this case, all of the prizes are won. Okay, so let's delve into that a little bit more. So yes, it's a gambling competition. And as such, at the very least, before one undertakes, say, a raffle through the internet, at least, or via an online platform, you at least need a local authority license. And also with that, there are also other constraints and restrictions that are applied as well. So we're not really going to go into the different licensing laws within the UK because there are numerous. But please do check with your local authority and potentially the rules on the Gambling Commission about the intricacies of setting up an online raffle. Okay. Now, in terms of prizes, a lot of people default to thinking that the prizes themselves have to be like physical items. So I'm raffling off a barbecue or some champagne or experience or something. But raffle prizes can be both monetary and non-monetary. So people, especially on the People's Fundraising platform, have set up raffles where, for example, one would win, say, 50% of the total amount of money generated via the raffle. Okay. Now, in terms of winners are drawn, there are generally three modes in which we see this can happen as well. So, if I, as a person, purchase 10 raffle tickets, the draw can be set up that each of those raffle tickets can potentially win all prizes, or each ticket can at most win one prize, or all of my tickets can only win at most one prize as well. So the technology enables us to be more creative with how we draw, irrespective though prizes are allocated at random. Okay, so that's the general structure of what a raffle is. Okay, so now let's compare that and look at what an auction is now. So a silent auction in this case is a competition, so not a gambling competition, in which people bid on a prize or prizes, again for a set amount of time, however, without an auctioneer at the helm. So at the end of the auction, the winners are those who, for each prize, have made the highest bid and the reserve price has been reached. Okay, so there's quite a difference in structure here. So, firstly, this is not an auction is not a gambling competition, and therefore no licensing is required. So you don't need to go to your local authority or go to the gambling commission to get a license for holding an auction. However, there are still a set of prizes, and however, in this case, you're not buying a ticket to win a prize at random. You are bidding up on that prize. And exactly the same with, well, okay, so they're the primary differences, okay. So when should we use raffles versus auctions? Okay, so we always get this question asked. Now, in a longer as we progress through our fundraising maturity, a lot of people default to the use of raffles because it's something in people's consciousness. A raffle just seems to be a good idea. People are generally used to the idea of saying buying raffle tickets, but what we see in our experience is that you should consider auctions, or you shouldn't always consider raffles as a default option. If you have a set of prizes, you should analyze it in a little bit of a more detailed way relating to the value of your items and also your audience. So, in general, an auction should be used when you know there is support or interest in your prizes and where the prize. Uh, sorry, if you could put yourself on mute unless you're asking any questions. Um, but yeah, an auction should be used when you know there is support or interest in your prizes and where the prize commands a high worth. Okay. So when we talk about high worth here, it could be a high monetary value, or it could be, you know, for example, a really cool experience or something like that. Okay. Whereas a raffle should be used if there is no particular support or interest in your prizes. Okay. And again, looking at it from this way, you can see that um, we are not just defaulting to running a raffle because we have some prizes. We need to analyze or understand our supporter base, their interest, and the worth they see in their prizes. Okay, very straightforward. So, extending that now, how do we use raffles versus auctions? Now, our philosophy is that any fundraising experience, or in this case raffles and auctions, are both community building and revenue generating events. Okay. um, our individual community and corporate networks, they want to engage with you and they want to develop a relationship with you, and through that relationship, through that community building, revenue is generated. Okay, so if you have a series of prizes, then you should always think about it in two ways. How do I build my community, and how do I maximize my revenue generation? So, a couple of rules of thumb that have essentially emerged by looking at how people are using raffles and auctions and our people's fundraising platform. And that is, high worth and notable prizes should always be auctioned in isolation to maximize income generation. And again, what we're doing here is we're understanding our demographic base, we're understanding our prizes. We're not just defaulting to a raffle. We are looking at the prize, looking at the demographic and saying, okay, we want to still engage with our supporter base, again, to generate some of that community, but we want to engage with that supporter base in the most effective way to maximize income. And because the prize is high worth and because it's notable, in this case, an auction is more preferable. Okay. Now, the second rule of thumb is multiple raffles should be held if many prices are on offer to maximize the community building aspect of fundraising. And so what we've seen with many charities holding raffles is that they see it as a one-off event. A lot of the time they see if they have a lot of prizes, that garners and generates more interest with the community itself. Now, one of the negative sides of that is, especially if you have many, many prizes and proportionally quite a small fundraising community, what can happen is multiple prizes can be won by many people. And a lot of the time, it's just mathematical logic. If I buy, say, 100 tickets, I've got more prize of winning prizes than if somebody who buys 10 or one ticket. So with that in mind, if you have, say, 20 raffle prizes, you can raffle them off at the same time. However, really consider that fundraising is about development of that community. Your supporters want to interact with you. You want to take every opportunity you can to engage and interact with your supporter base. So think in terms of maybe holding maybe 2 raffles, 10 raffle prizes each time, or 3 raffles over a time period, maybe 3 weeks or 4 weeks, to really maximize the community building side of things as well. Okay, so again, just to reiterate that, if you have loads of prizes, don't just stick them on one raffle page and hold one raffle event. Think about potentially splitting them up over numerous events over time to maximize that community building aspect, maximize that brand recognition, etc. Okay, also, auction prizes not won are good candidates for raffles. So if we go back to the first rule of thumb, where you've done an analysis and you think there's a high worth and notable prize, or there are a series of high worth prizes, but maybe they haven't met their lower bid, then think also about undertaking a follow-on raffle. Okay, very simple. For you as a charity, you generally have these prizes, and so you want to do 2 things. You always want to generate income, but you always want to develop that community. So hold that auction. If it's not successful, then it's another opportunity to engage with your supporter base, hold a raffle. Again, you're building that community by the second interaction with your supporter base. And again, it's a way of generating at least some income for an auction prize that wasn't won in the first place. Okay, the last point on this now is when you think about, when a lot of charities think about raffles or auctions, they think about it in terms of it is a big event. So we're going to hold our spring raffle or our Christmas raffle, okay? Now, what we've seen is that, yes, those things are very, very important. Fundraising is a seasonal activity in its own right. And, as we know, Christmas is one of those high points in individual, community and corporate fundraising. So still hold those big events, they're just wonderful community building events, especially when they're built around an occasion. but also think about flash auctions and raffles. And what a flash auction or raffle is maybe, through a business relationship, you get given, an interesting prize. It's not necessarily noteworthy. It's not necessarily high value, but there is some interest there. Maybe it's a bit novel or whatnot. So a flash auction is something that can, maybe last, a few hours, a day, maximum a week. You quickly set up a raffle page, you publish it to your social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you email your community base. Nothing has necessarily been set up in a grand or organized way in particular, but you just get it out there. Your supporters are just quite actually interested of this impromptu auction or raffle. And again, it is a opportunity for community building exercise and revenue generation. Okay. So don't just think as you start to roll out the use of raffles and auctions and further tools into the future, like shops and lotteries and things like that, they all need to be, well organized, pre-planned events. Flash auctions and raffles are a very good revenue generation mechanism. Okay. So, any questions on anything I've spoken about so far? Okay. I see a question. I can't see or hear anything. Okay. I hope everyone is okay with the audio and video. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through an example of setting up a raffle and an auction, if we've got time, that is. So let me stop sharing, share my window. Bear with me. Let's share again. Okay, so I'm just going to go to our People's Fundraising platform. And let me go through the process of setting up a raffle. So on our People's Fundraising platform, you and your supporters can fundraise using all of these different type of fundraisers in one platform. And we also offer a branded version. So let's go through setting up a raffle page. So what I want to demonstrate here is that functionally, it's very straightforward to set up a raffle page. However, the process is generally make sure you have the relevant licensing available, and then you are subsequently free to set up, event-based raffles or flash type raffles. Okay, so a raffle page that has a name. And a description. And you've always got a unique URL to your page as well. If this was a branded platform, this would be your own domain. On the raffle page, you can display the total generated on the page. Now that's an interesting metric to have because your supporters like to understand how much is generated on the page sometimes, or generated via a fundraiser. But also if the prize is a monetary value, say maybe 50% of the take, this is an interesting metric to display. You can also display the total amount of supporters engaging the raffle. You can put the QR code on the raffle page as well. And you can make the page public, which means it appears in things like search results, walls, etc. Okay, so each raffle ticket, you enter the price of it. Now, legally, all raffle tickets have to be the same price, and also legally within the UK, in any case, you can't do bundles of different prices. So you can't say one raffle ticket is £1 And if you give us £5, you get 8 raffle tickets. They all have to be the same price. Okay, you specify how many number of raffle tickets available. And again, UK legislation says there needs to be a limited number of raffle tickets. You specify how many tickets one can purchase, or at the minimum and the maximum. And then you specify start and end dates. And again, there's a legal obligation that there is a start and end date for a raffle. The solution can automatically draw for you. So there are 3 modes of drawing. There is a draw with notification, which means the system will automatically draw and allocate who's won what prizes, and email the supporters who have won the prizes they have won. There's draw without notification, which is where the system will automatically draw and allocate who's won what prizes and just email you who's what's won. And therefore, you can go out to your individual community and corporate fundraising base and now announce who's won what in your own way. And there is simply a close as well. So just closing a raffle without drawing means that you can now integrate any purchases online with any offline sales of tickets as well. Okay. If the system draws automatically for you, it will draw and notify supporters. Now, in terms of the legislation, you need to supply promoter information. And also you need to supply an email address. All of this information will be displayed to supporters once they have purchased raffle tickets via the email that's sent to them. Okay, there are a few other optional things one can do as well. One can add an age verification check to the raffle purchase. So you could say, for example, you need to be 18 years and older. And you can also ask for an optional donation as well. Asking for things like optional donations, we always recommend that. And again, from the experience we've had running or empowering charities and non-profits to run many raffles, this notion of limiting the minimum and maximum plus an optional donation really plays to a lot of people's innate fairness. So if I have a lot of money to buy raffle tickets, I know that I'm most probably going to win a lot of prizes. So you can manage and control that by firstly limiting the number of tickets a person can purchase, or to balance that with asking somebody to make an optional donation. And the optional donation option is really quite a successful mechanism for, again, generating extra money on top of your raffle. You can do other things like, changing the theme, adding images to your page, adding social media hooks and whatnot to your page. But let's just create that page. And again, within our system, you assign your pages to one or many campaigns. And a campaign is simply an area of focus within your organization. So it could be the Christmas campaign, Easter campaign. We're raising money for a new extension to the building type campaign. And you can split or you can assign multiple campaigns to a page. You can say 10% goes to one campaign, 90% to another campaign, etc. And that means when somebody makes a purchase, that money will be split between those campaigns. Now, I assign raffle prizes. So for each prize I have, I enter that into the system. You can add an image to that prize as well. And you specify how many of these prizes there are. So if I'm specifying a prize, I say there are 2 of these, and then the system will know if it's drawing to, again, allocate two prizes to two, or a single prize to two winners. And let's now create that. So again, I've now developed let's just go back here and open up here. I've now developed a fully functioning raffle page within a couple of minutes. The total raised on the page will be displayed here, the QR code, when the raffle is undertaken, when it will be drawn, the price of the raffle ticket, etc., and the list of prizes, who it's supporting. And again, the about could be furnished with videos and images, text description about, really interesting or why this raffle is important. Okay, so that's the first level or layer of setting up a raffle page. Let's look at some of the other things that we think are important, especially when it comes to further or greater supporter engagement and participation. So the philosophy we should generally hold is, don't just think about a raffle as a one-off event. Always think of it as a community building event. So you want to take every opportunity there is to develop that conversation, to use every touch point to pass you should use every touch point to essentially direct the supporter to the next action. So, okay, what tools and facilities have you got to do that? So if you click on the More button, again, you can add more prizes, you can change the campaign split, but you can add an email notification message and a notification message. Now, what are these email notification messages and notification messages? So when somebody purchases a raffle ticket, they're going to get a templated email. And again, if it's on the branded platform, it will be branded. It'll be something like, dear first name, last name, you have purchased 10 tickets to the raffle page. And it will give a table of, the promoter details, how many tickets they've bought, etc. But if you notice here, you've got the email notification message. So other than this, everything is specifically tailored and a function of the raffle page. So what's this email notification message? So the email notification message essentially allows you to add wording to that email. And again, you can use it to take the opportunity to maybe describe to the supporter, the benefit that the charity is gaining by their raffle purchase, or importantly, continue that conversation and signpost that supporter to that next action. Okay. And similarly, the notification message is a similar mechanism. When somebody makes a purchase, they're going to go to a thank you page. And again, if it's a branded platform, it'll be a branded thank you page. You can add wording to that thank you page as well. Again, taking the opportunity to describe the benefit, the impact, or to signpost the supporter to the next action. Okay. With all of our pages as well, you can also add questionnaires. And again, if this was an event, you can ask them some questions about maybe dietary preferences or something pertaining to the event. But in the context of the raffle page, again, you could be asking if they want to, asking your supporters if they want to join the mailing list or something like that. You can add as many questions as you like. But again, what we're doing here, we're taking the opportunity of an interaction with the supporter to develop a relationship, get to know a little bit more about them, or how you want to engage with them or they want to engage with you. And also e-cards as well. So e-cards are a mechanism of allowing somebody who's purchased, say, a raffle ticket to send a pre-structured email to their own family and friends, essentially to elicit them to enter the raffle. Okay. Now, beyond that, remember this notion of always think about holding raffles as a community building opportunity, and therefore holding potentially multiple raffles over the year. Think about the use of what's called short linking. Now, what short linking allows you to do is to assign a short link to your raffle page. Okay, so if the long link is this, the short link is this. Now, this has two functions. So the first function is that it's simply easier to remember and to see and to note down the short link when you publish it on email to your social media platforms, maybe you print it out, etc. But the most important function in the context of community building is that, again, say you hold 4 raffles throughout the year, and each raffle is going to have its own page. Now, the problem with publishing this address, via email, via your social media platforms and whatnot, is that, especially if you're holding multiple throughout the year, if I find a post or an email from a year ago and I click on that link, I'll be taken to a raffle that has ended. Now, if I, excuse me, sorry about the cough. If I, however, publish the short link, via email, social media and whatnot, and I always assign the short link to the current raffle, then it doesn't matter if somebody clicks on a post from a year ago, 2 years ago, they are always going to go to the current raffle. Okay, so again, short links are a really useful feature to support your community building, but also to direct your supporters always to the current raffle or auction or other such fundraising page. Now, if short links are a way of always directing your supporters to the current, say, raffle, one question we always have is there a way that we know from where people click or scan? And again, it's important to understand where people are clicking or scanning into your fundraising experiences, into your raffle pages, event pages, and whatnot, because in doing so, you start to understand something about those supporters. So the example we always give is if a lot of traffic comes through Facebook as opposed to TikTok or Instagram, your demographic is slightly older. Okay, 40s to 50s and thereabouts. Okay, but again, if they're coming from TikTok, Instagram, they're a younger demographic. Okay, so you're getting to know something about your supporter base simply by the channel they're coming through on. But also, because you invest time and money into engaging with that supporter base, if you say, 60% are coming through Facebook, you may want to invest more into the other channels to bolster your engagement with those demographics. Okay, so it's important to understand how our supporters are communicating with us on many levels, and therefore we communicate back with them as well, appropriate on those same channels. So what tagging allows us to do is to, for example, create a short link Facebook specific tag or associated QR code. And so therefore you would post this link to Facebook. And when people click on the link and people make a purchase, the tag will be saved alongside it in the same way as we are therefore posting to TikTok. You would post this to TikTok, people would click on it, and you would know X amount of people came from TikTok as opposed to Facebook. Or a lot of non-profits do, they also have agents who go out and they sell maybe raffle tickets or get people to sign up to the auction. So you can also give agents agent-specific QR codes and tags as well. And so therefore you could ascertain that, say, John generated £100 worth of sales. Okay. And of course, for physical locations, so this could be Schoolgate or Schoolgate 1. You put the QR code physically printed on the school gate, and again, you know that school gate A parents interact more than school gate B. Okay. So using small techniques such as short linking and tagging can really support the longer term goal of fundraising, and that is to help generate and bolster that community. And then over time, you receive more fundraising income, as opposed to just thinking a raffle is a one off event. Let's create it, do it, and then let's think about the next one at some point in time. Always think about this as a continuum, a conversation to be had, to be developed over time. So let's look at that page again. Again, we could have like embedded YouTube's, Twitter feeds, slideshows. I can pay with debit credit card. Again, our platform restricts payment methods that are not allowed by UK law. So by UK law, you can't use credit cards. And so therefore we have to take off credit card and PayPal. For example, PayPal can't control the use of credit card or debit card. However, you can also use gift vouchers as well. So a gift voucher is a tool within our platform that me as a supporter can purchase a gift voucher of any value and send it to, say, a family or friend. That family or friend can come and redeem that gift voucher against a raffle page or an auction page or a donation page or a fundraising page. So in doing so and using gift voucher as a mechanism, not only is it a new fundraising stream for you, but it is also a way of potentially bringing in new supporters as well. Okay, remember, it's all about development of the community. It's all about bringing in new people into that community. Now, for organizations that also accept cash, check, and bank transfer, again, maybe you're at a community event, physical event, and people are giving you cash, then you can also register those into the system. Somebody's giving me cash. House number, street, etc. Because I've assigned the optional donation, it's also recognizing if somebody's giving me cash for an optional donation, and then I'll just pay for that as well. So yes, you can also integrate offline and online donations using these payment methods. Now, one last observation on this. Sometimes people say, well, holding a raffle, setting up a raffle via an online platform, that is simply to support an online raffle as opposed to offline. Now, what we say in response to that is creating a raffle page online doesn't mean that you're not supporting a physical offline raffle. So especially with the use of QR codes, again, if you're holding a physical event, for example, you would typically put the QR codes around the event location, and people would scan on the QR code, go to the page and buy a ticket. Or again, they could give you cash check and you could come and make an offline payment. So therefore, don't see setting up a raffle page online as it is exclusively an online raffle. It is just a focal point to describe the benefit of the raffle and accept payments. Okay. Right, so let's turn that off and go back to the initial presentation. So any questions on that at the moment? No? Okay. So that's a quick example of a raffle. I won't go into auctions today. I think I'll leave that for another day. So just to finish up, again, how we can help in you developing your raffles and your auctions and your general fundraising. So this is a little bit about us now. So via our platform, you and your supporters can donate and fundraise using donations, in-memory fundraisers, raffles, events, lottery, auctions, etc., all within one platform. Again, we provide the tools whereby you can really engage effectively using different fundraising experiences, and your supporters can participate in the way they want, as opposed to the way you traditionally think fundraisers should support you, and that is doing things like cake bakes, marathon runs in the context of fundraising pages. As the platform offers these experiences, these revenue streams in one platform, we can lower your back office costs and management costs because you have all of these fundraising streams in essentially one integration. So we have a lower total cost of ownership than Just Giving. And through our branded platform, you also have complete end-to-end charity branding as well. Okay. So that was the presentation over today. So hopefully that was quite insightful. Again, what I wanted to really convey today is talking about, the concerns, considerations, questions that a lot of charities ask us in how to effectively set up and use raffles and auctions. When auction is more applicable for a raffle, how do we better develop that community and at the same time generate more fundraising income? So that's it for today. Again, any questions before we sign out? Let's check out on chat. Okay, there is one. If you state that you have 1,000 raffle tickets available but do not sell 1,000 by the end of the day, is that still okay for the raffle to proceed? Yes, it is. So that's a really interesting question, actually. Yes, by law you need to have an upper limit of raffle tickets, but if you don't sell them, the draw will still go ahead. There's no legal requirement to have to sell all of those raffle tickets. And in actual fact, just on that, so another related point, and one question we also have is, I have some prizes and I may have other prizes later on down the line. Is it okay that I add the raffle prizes as I go along? Now, what we say is, remember, we always come from the perspective of fundraising, income generation, and community development. It's fine if you don't know your full amount of raffle prizes. And in actual fact, as long as you don't remove, you should never remove a raffle prize you add to a raffle page, and the same for auctions as well. But the rationale for adding a raffle prize to a raffle page, it gives you an opportunity to go back to your supporter base and engage and continue that conversation. It generates further excitement. So don't just think when you're setting up a raffle, you need to have all of your raffle prizes in place at the start. However, communicate to your supporters that more raffle prizes may come. And if and when they do, take that opportunity to interact with your fundraising base. Again, take every opportunity to engage with your fundraising base and develop that community. Okay, I think there's another question. How do we incorporate the offline entries with the online ones? Okay, so that's a super interesting question as well. So that we see a demographic shift here in actual fact. So an older demographic really, and we're talking about 65, 70, they're very used to receiving, when they buy a raffle ticket, receiving a physical, ticket. Okay. But now we're seeing, especially with the younger demographics, people aren't so inclined to require that physical ticket. Okay. So, and this is why we say setting up a raffle online doesn't just mean it's an online raffle. Okay. So one of the biggest decisions you're going to have to make, we think, if you are going to sell physical tickets, and we don't always say you should default to that, because somebody can still enter the raffle via the QR code by giving you money. However, they don't receive a physical ticket, they receive a virtual ticket via email. So don't always default to physical tickets. However, if you are going to default to physical tickets, and again, I think, remember, organizations that have an old demographic, maybe you would do that. But again, younger demographics, you shouldn't necessarily think that is the default. You need to decide if you're going to sell more physical tickets than online tickets. Now, if you're going to sell more physical tickets, then you would not necessarily get the system to draw for you. You would simply close the raffle at the end of the raffle date, and you would download, say, the raffle ticket purchase report and incorporate those online purchase ones into the physical draw. Whereas if you are selling more online tickets than physical tickets, you would do it the other way around, and then you'll get the system to automatically draw. Okay, so that was a last bit of wisdom I think I can impart there. Okay, well, thank you very much. It's been a nice session, and yeah, if you'd like to talk to us about anything, just please email me on the details in the last slide, nathan.pinkney at People's Fundraising. Have great weekends, and look out for our future sessions. And this session will also be posted to our YouTube channel as well. So thank you very much for attending. Catch you again soon.